Hello and welcome to IELTS Live Thursday, which is our weekly look at IELTS in the group. And today I wanted to talk about who can get a high band in IELTS. So if you are thinking that it's impossible for you to get a high band in IELTS, then it's important for you to watch this live so that you can find out how it is possible. So, is it possible for everybody to get a high band in IELTS? I believe it is, personally. And I've worked with many students of all different levels and abilities throughout the years, and that has led me to the belief that it is possible for all of you to get a high band. However, I will give some conditions upon which that is possible. So it's not something that is easy for everybody, but I do believe that everybody can do it. So I want to look at a few things that might stop you or that might help you to get the high band. So the first thing I want to talk about is talent. So everybody is born with different talents. Some people are good at mathematics. That's not me. Some people are good at art. Some people are good at sport. And everybody knows this, that everybody has certain talents, certain areas in which they excel. And some people are naturally good at language. I'm sure you know people who can learn languages really easily, who can use language very well, and that is their talent. So for me, when I was at school, I had a natural talent in English, particularly in grammar and in writing, and it was what I enjoyed doing. I have two daughters who are artists, and when I look at the way that they can draw and make things, then, you know, I'm quite in awe of them because I can't do that. I have another daughter who's a musician. Now, I also studied music as part of my degree, but she's got music on a different level. And I have another daughter who's a dancer. And these are all talent-based. So some people are going to be better at language than others. And for them, it's probably going to be easier to get a high band in all the areas because they have a natural ability. But that doesn't mean that if you don't have a talent in language, you're not going to be able to get the high score, because it's not true. Okay. The second thing is that for some people there may be some blocks initially. So people, for example, who have problems like dyslexia, where it's difficult for them to read and write. So with those kind of problems, and I'm not an expert in this, but there are ways of helping. So in the exam you may get extra time. I've worked with students who have hearing problems. I've had a couple of students who have had some problems with their hearing. So obviously when it comes to the listening, they're going to have difficulty. And again, there are ways of helping such students. And if you have that problem, then it's really important that you talk to the test centre, because there are ways of helping you. I've worked with other students who had some speech problems. And again, there are ways of helping with those kind of problems. And people who have problems with sight. I once had a blind student in one of my classes, and he managed extremely well with everything. And there are ways of helping people who have these issues. But if you don't have one of those problems, then there is no reason why you can't get band 7, band 8 in your IELTS exam. So people who have to do this, I remember many years ago when I lived in Indonesia, the auntie of one of my friends didn't even speak Indonesian. She spoke a local language. She didn't speak Indonesian, and she certainly didn't speak English. Yet she was able to go to travel all over the world without that language facility because she had a natural ability to communicate. So when there's an absolute necessity, people will do what they have to do. So if you need the IELTS, then there will be an incentive there for you to really work at it to learn all the skills well. And that leads me to my final point, which is perseverance, practice, and consistency. And these are the three things which will ensure that you can get those high bands. Now, a lot of people give up and say, it's not for me, I can't do it, it's not possible, because they are missing one of those things. They either don't persevere, they give up too easily, or they don't practice enough because they feel it's not going to work, or they're not consistent. And the consistency depends on the practice. So in order to get consistency, you have to practice a lot. Now, think about other skills that you might have learned. For example, riding a bicycle. I'm pretty sure all of you who ride bicycles, the very first time you got on that bike, and you may need to think back to when you were a child, probably fell off several times. But you had to keep going until you could do it well. When children learn to walk, they fall down all the time. But it doesn't stop them. They don't fall down and say, oh, that's it, I'm not going to try anymore. They keep going because it's a necessity. It's something that we all have to do in our lives. And actually, it's very important that children, small children, fall over, because every time they get up, they strengthen their muscles. And so it's a little bit the same with learning any new skill. Another skill you might have learned is driving. And I'm pretty sure you didn't get in the car and off you went. You had to learn how to drive that car, how to understand the road, how to manage the traffic. These are all skills that you build on, that you get better at. And the more you do it, the better you become. So I'm pretty sure if you needed a car, you didn't get in the car, make a mistake, and then get out and say, okay, done, not for me. Cooking. We're not born knowing how to cook. We learn it because it's essential. We need to know how to cook in order to feed ourselves. Some people are better at it than others because they have a natural talent. But all of us will learn to cook if we have to. And the same with things like sewing. You know, we will learn these skills if we have to learn them. So if you have to do the IELTS, and if you have to do if you have to get a band 7 or a band 8, what will drive you to that is firstly the necessity of having to do it, and secondly the three things I mentioned. The perseverance, don't give up, because I'm pretty sure all of us have language, all of us can get language at a high level, so we can replicate that with English. Practice. If you don't practice regularly, just imagine with your own language, if you never use it, you're never going to be better at it. So it's exactly the same with English. You have to keep practicing if you want to get to a high level. And then the final thing, consistency. So if you're getting band 5 today, band 6 tomorrow, band 7 next week, it's not consistent, it's random. And if it's random, you can't guarantee what's going to happen in the exam. So in answer to the question I posed, can everybody get a high band in IELTS? I firmly believe the answer is yes. How long it will take you depends on your talent. Is it something you're good at? In which case it will be quicker. But if it isn't something that you're good at and you find it a bit of a chore, then you're going to have to persevere. You're going to have to be consistent in both the level and also consistent in your practice. And you're probably going to have to practice a lot. But if you're prepared for that, then there is absolutely no reason why you cannot get a high band in the exam. Now, certain things will help you. Having somebody to check your work, to explain how to do it, the techniques that you need for the reading especially, and the opportunity to practice the speaking, for example, with other people. All of these things will help you and will make the whole process faster. Now, if you want help with any of those things, with feedback on your writing, with help with reading and listening in terms of skills and strategies, and with speaking practice, then I have a way you can do that, which is my IELTS Champions Club. So I have a couple of people taking the exam this week from the IELTS Champions Club, and at the moment they're getting scores of 8 and 8.5 in the listening and reading, and their writing is 7.5, so I'm very hopeful that they will get that in the exam. The last 3 people from Champions Club all got bands 8, 8.5 overall, and they all managed to get 7.5 in their reading and their speaking. So it is a place where you can really push these skills, get consistent practice, and get support so that you don't give up. So I will put the details of the IELTS Champions Club underneath this video, and if you need help to get to those high bands, then I urge you to join the club. You can just join for a month and get support for a month, or you can join for longer and get more long-term and consistent support from me and from the other people who are members of the group. But it is a cost-effective way of getting a lot of support and help with your IELTS. Okay, so everybody can do it, but it depends how determined you are. I'll leave it there for today. Thank you for watching. And if you have any questions or need any further help with this, just put a comment in the box underneath the video, or send me a private message on Messenger. Thank you, everybody.